Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome back to your full-time match reaction show with me, your host, the Governor. I want to hear from you guys and girls, both in the active chat. Let me have your thoughts following today's 0-0 home draw with MK Dons. Let me know what you think in regards to the team, the performance, the management, the players, of course, the takeover, anything you want to talk about with your football team. Excuse me. And of course, there is a live link incoming to the chat very soon. Should you want to come on the show and have your say, maybe there's something that you just want to say, do you want to air it, have your opinion now. Welcome back, Jordan. Welcome back, Graeme. Jordan, first of all, kick us off. Overall performance, thoughts, team, everything. What are you thinking following that 0-0 draw with MK Dons?
4 again, innit? Another game, no shots on target. Another game, 0 on the scoreboard. I think I just saw Stuart Watson tweet something about 200 odd minutes without a shot on target. It's getting a bit fucking stupid. Aaron Drinnan's gone down the left-hand side. He's driven into the box. He's ended up with his back to goal. I mean, Freddie Sears, that is an absolute banker to score that chip over the goalkeeper. I just say it's so poor. Any other team in this league would have beaten MK Dons today. And then I go on Twitter and I saw someone put on there, the reason why our games are like 0-0 is because of the time of the season. Teams go tight at the back. Well,
what?
Peterborough have scored 3 today. Wigan have scored 4. Oxford have scored 6. AFC Wimbledon have scored 5. The list goes on. I don't know who's putting this nonsense on there about teams tightening up. MK Dons weren't tight at the back today. They were there for the taking. I'm telling you, it's just...
It's woeful. It's woeful. But Graeme, is it not just the end days or, well, you know, the final symptom, if you like, of the Marcus Evans regime disease that we appear to have as a football club? Because the most expensive commodity in modern football are strikers. And you're looking at it now and you're seeing why they're the most expensive commodity in world football, because they win you points and points win you prizes. And what you're looking at there today, Aaron Drinnan, Ollie Hawkins, Freddie Sears, they're players that aren't going to win you points and prizes.
Well, just go back. Was it a few years back? We were up against, when we were in the Championship, we were up against Brentford for Ollie Hawkins, Ollie Watkins.
Watkins,
got Hawkins on the brain.
No, it wasn't a Hawkins.
Ollie Watkins, who was like, what was he, about 700,000-800,000, if a million, from Exeter or somewhere down the West Country. Brentford took the gamble on him and had him for a year and a half. He got him a hat full of goals and they got 26 million for him. That's what you call a pretty good return on your investment. Look at it, start of this season. We were like supposed to be really in with a chance of getting the guy with the double-barreled name.
Johnson Clark Harris. Yep.
Yeah. How many goals has he got this year? 28 before today. I mean,
something along those lines, definitely.
And how much are they likely to sell him on again for next year?
They won't have to, because they'll be promoted. So it's sort of mission accomplished from that point of view, isn't it?
Yeah, but even if they're not promoted, you know, they look like they will be now. But even if they're not, they would do the same as they did with Ivan Toney. You know, I mean, talk about a scouting network. I mean, the only scouts we can have working for us must have the little peak caps and the garters on their socks, because they're not finding any sort of players for us, are they?
You see, Kelly says we're not creating. I disagree. We created your standard amount of League One chances today, in my opinion. Drinnan goes through on goal, doesn't get out of his feet quick enough. That's ability. That's nothing short of just you haven't got the ability needed to score a goal. Freddie Sears has got 2 or 3 opportunities, doesn't even hit the target. We've created a couple of chances in there today.
But Barcelona have got Messi up front. We're just Messi with a Y up front.
It's true. It's true. It's really sort of painful to see, Jordan. And I can't say today that it wasn't because we didn't create chances. We've put our strikers in position to do something today, and they've just shown why they are no longer, well, why they'll be playing League Two football in Freddie Sears' case next year. Many people believe with Colchester.
You know, God knows what O'Leary thought today after he'd seen that. I mean, bloody hell. Do you know, it makes me sad with Freddie, because Freddie 4 or 5 years ago would have absolutely lapped that chance up. And it makes you sad for players like him, because he really played for the shirt, you know, at times, but the ability's just not there. And if there's anything that screams change. It's today, and it's just another game of just going through the motions. I don't understand why. I don't understand when you're 2-3 points outside the playoffs. Just the thought of playing at Wembley would do it for me. But we're just huff and puff, and I'm not even sure if we're huff and puff, if I'm honest with you.
Just not good enough. It's
tell you what
really
annoys
bad.
me are these pointless lump forward balls. And Luke Wolfenden's now fallen into that trap as well, where they're not even under Mick. We were very direct, you know, and at least they were put into areas where Daryl Murphy could win the scraps, or David McGoldrick would get a touch, or I don't know, Tom Lawrence would nick the ball out of somewhere, you know. These are just lumped forward balls to, one, get us off out of pressure, and two, I'm not sure what sort of game plan we've got here. If you're a shit team, you're good at set pieces, aren't you? A Sam Allardyce team, no matter what, is good at set pieces, and they graft. You know, they may not have quality, but what are we at the moment? Like, what are we doing at the moment? I'm not sure we're fucking doing anything, if I'm honest with you.
Yes, that's what I was saying last week with regards to the Bristol Rovers Joe Barton comparison. Like, Joe Barton's got them up for a right scrap. That's the same when you just, you know, he's a League One Sam Allardyce, if you like. What are we doing? Like, what are we good at? What are we up for a fight, Graham? Are we keeping the ball well? Like, even under Lambert, say what you will, and I don't want to go back there, but at least you could say we kept the ball fairly well. Like, we were often bored to tears the amount of time we kept the ball needlessly. But at least we could say we were doing something.
Yeah, but I mean, under Lambert, it was this like 65, 70% possession. I mean, if you go back to the whole game down at Portman Road, was it end of November, start of December time?
Yeah.
Like went 2 up, I think, in the first half. And then they were just bloody wetting themselves, weren't they? Because we then got hold of the ball and it went square or backwards across the penalty area, back again. And we were like, got at best about 5 metres outside our own area. Lambert's oozing about, well, look at all the possession we had. Hull 2-0 away from home on a sort of top against second, I think it was at the time. They were wetting themselves because they were 2-0 up. They were going to get the 3 points. We were never going to hurt them. You know, I mean, I see people like on the messages that are popping up, you know, asking questions about Paul Cook already. But to be honest, he's inherited an absolute pile of crap. You know, at the end of the day, as Jordan said, you know, if you're a couple of points, 3 points off the playoffs, people even today are still messing it up, you know, and still, you know, Portsmouth got tonked today. You know, you're sort of leaving those gaps for Ipswich to capitalise. So surely, even if these players, they must even question their own ability, mustn't they? Because surely they would be thinking, let's fight and get into the playoffs. We could even sneak going up to the Championship. That could get me another contract. But they're just so, they've got that losing mentality, haven't they? You know, you look at Judd last week when he was sort of saying about what a great result it was at Rochdale. For Christ's sake, Rochdale, who are bottom of the 3rd tier,
really
one game at home all season, and Judge reckons that is a great result. You know, that's the mentality throughout this team. They should be going for it. You know, they've got a chance to impress their new owners. All they're doing is confirming how quick they should be on the skip when they clear out the yard.
Absolutely. Let's get a few comments from the chat before we get a few people in on the live show. We've got Little Clarky. Only good thing for today is the new owners now need to clear out and money has to be spent. Well, they knew that anyway. Mike Brown, sorry about the players, maybe shit, but where's the F and F it? It's a fair point. Mark Dowling, must win games must mean something indifferent in League One. Kian, stop blaming Cook. That's ridiculous. The squad is awful because the club has been rotting in areas for 10 plus years. Lee Anderson, nothing, Jordan. We are a nothing team. We do what Cook does first minute each half, then it breaks down. Wayne Till, defence played well and kept solid. It's looking like we should miss out as no striker. Get rid of them all, including Jackson and Nord. I completely agree with you. Yeah, I'm with you there. Michael Finch, I'm not going to manage. I think it's par for the course with Ipswich this season, and I've written this season off, and we'll be intrigued and excited for next season. Ridgy Boy 03, with the exception of Downs and Toto, none of those players want it. Get rid. Daryl, what on earth did you watch all the way from the States? You're a brave man, getting up that early to watch that shower of absolute garbage.
Kick off 10 o'clock. No, it is terrible. But
Saturday.
If you look at it, okay, another clean sheet, that's fine. That isn't the problem. The problem is up front. But, you know, I mean, going into this, and I think anybody that discusses now the possession today, it's just this. not a discussion because the coaches knew that coming in, the players knew that coming in. So if MK Dons were able to dominate us in possession, then we didn't prepare. I mean, it was obvious what they were going to do. As far as Drinan, I don't get the Drinan bashing. I know he's not going to score, but I think everybody knows he's not going to score. And early in the season, he did bring the other players into the game that at that time did score the goals. Now, I'm not saying he's the answer to anything. I think out of everybody that's on the team, Norwood is obviously the choice because he does score, even though I call him 1 in 10. He does score more than that. But it's just a team that doesn't score. And for that reason, it's a problem. It's boring. It's tenuous. It's tedious. It's, I don't know. There's just so many words. It's definitely not fun to watch. And we do, we sit here and cross our fingers and hope we make the playoffs, but basically we just need to blow it up. Whichever way we go, up or stay, we need to blow it up and completely rebuild for next season from the ground up.
100%. Are you an NFL fan, Daryl?
Yeah, I'm an NFL watcher. I mean, I live in Jacksonville, so I've got the Jags, and I follow the Jags.
You struggle with the Jags, yeah.
Well,
you struggle with them. They don't win games either. They don't win games either, so you'll be all right. But I asked because Aaron Drinan is like that wide receiver that runs his routes really well. Great precision, really hard work, but doesn't get touchdowns. Touchdowns win games. Drinan doesn't score goals.
Exactly, yeah, 100%. And when he gets to the ball, and so many of the others as well, when we get the ball, they don't do anything with it. There's no, and then you got Ward and Edwards crossing the ball to each other. So,
yes.
Nobody knows where the penalty spot is. Actually, my favorite moment of the game today was the start of the second half when MK Dons had the free kick inside the arc there, which is marked 10 yards from the penalty spot. And the referee marks it off, and his line is a good yard or more closer to the ball than the penalty spot was. So that was excellent. That's League One refereeing for you.
And that's the highlight, Jordan.
I tell you what, he's not far wrong, is he? It's just I just don't get it. I know he's trying to get the best out of what he's got. I'm not going to sit here and blame Cook. People are saying we're blaming Cook. I'm not here to blame Cook, but it just feels like MK Dons bored us to life with their possession. But when they went through the thirds, they do it slowly, intricate, that sort of thing. 1 minute we'll pass up from the back, and the next we'll just absolutely lump it long pointlessly. I just don't really get what we're doing, what we're trying to do. Maybe just like even on the set pieces, every set piece was exactly the same. Probably hitting first man or just going to no one. I just don't. Just the players. I don't know.
It's lacking the quality.
I'm out
all over the field
sometimes as to what we're actually trying to do here. Like what is it that obviously he's telling them certain things. Like today, if we knew they were going to have possession, when we got the ball, we needed to be sharp with it. If we were going to go through the thirds, we needed to get it through them thirds quickly, put the three backmen under pressure. But it just, you know what I mean?
I love you bringing the thirds into it. Look at him. Gary Neville sat to me left. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Going through the thirds. I love you, Jordan. That's brilliant. How those note take go? How's the notes going?
Oh,
did you give up?
Oh, mate, I didn't even make notes second half.
You just needed one word. Absolute garbage. Garbage.
As soon as it went out of play, got lumped out of play, that was enough for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Graeme, the players don't want it, according to David Pascoe. It's hard to disagree with that, isn't it?
I just can't believe that, you sort of look at that lot. I mean, who would you go? Downs, maybe. I think he's worth a contract next year. Nydam, maybe a couple of decent touches when he come on, considering how long he's been out, but I don't think he's probably even worth the contract. Enciala was maybe the pick of the defenders, but I don't know. It's just depressing. My father-in-law left at the final whistle. He said, I'm lucky. He said, you've got another hour to remember this game. He said, at least I can go home and forget about it. And he said he was really pleased that I'll miss it next week because I've got a hospital appointment. So he said, at least you won't be asking me to come around and watch the Charlton game. So I think he's got a fair point, really.
He has. Who would you keep around out of that 11 then, Dale, before I bring in Colin? Who would you say, do you know what you did well this season today,
well,
etc.?
Honestly, Wolfenden and Ciala. I don't know, honestly, the best play of the game was actually when the ball was back by the corner flag. And Ciala, 99 out of 100 times, the fullback would have just lumped it into the stands. He brought the ball inside and started to move 5, 6, 7 passes later. That ends up down the other end of the pitch with trying and chasing it to the keeper came all the way to the side to chest it out. So he's definitely one that could be a backup. Sorry, Callie, but he's worth keeping. Needham looked fresh coming in, so he looked good. Unfortunately, I think Bishop has expired. It's time for him to move along. Dabra, I'm just not impressed enough. He hasn't done enough, and he is impetuous. He comes in, and he's always going to have that yellow card in him. And when you get that 3 minutes into the game, you put yourself behind to begin with. So there aren't many that I'd keep around, but there are. There's a few that you can see that are serviceable to keep around, but not that would be starters or stars by any means.
Do you think it's a bigger job than the new owners thought it was on paper? The same way Paul Cook thought this squad was better than it was on paper.
I think they know exactly what they're getting into. The whole thing is that this is going to be a very strange offseason. There are going to be a lot of players available. There are going to be a lot of players available on freeze. There are going to be a lot of players available at much lower transfer fees than they would have been before because everybody knows the money's just not there. And a lot of players, again, they said it last season, the ones that make the deal first, they're going to be the smartest players. So they can get out there and get some players signed right away. And the players are hungry enough and want to do something. Cook is just going to have to sell a vision to these guys. The thing is, and I'm not bashing him in any way. Maybe I am, I don't know. But what's his record since he's come in? What has he done with the same players? Compare what he's done since coming in to what Lambert was doing.
It's a good, fair point, Daryl.
There's nothing positive to it.
No, absolutely. Daryl, as always, appreciate you. Hope to speak to you again soon. Stay well, stay healthy. Colin, Callie asked in the chat, have you seen any improvement? And as Mike Brown asked as well, have you seen any improvement since Paul Cook took charge of the football club?
Well, I suppose. By the way, good evening, Martin.
Good evening, sir. Happy birthday to your wife, by the way.
Yeah, my wife's in the kitchen. She's had a lovely birthday, thank you. We had a nice steak earlier, as you know, Martin, and we've had the grandchildren, or one of my grandchildren, over today, so that's been lovely. Thank you.
And then the football came along and spoiled it for you.
Yeah, well, obviously, because it was Venetia's birthday, I had to just keep darting in and out, listen to a little bit of the radio. But sorry, what was your question again, Martin? Sorry.
Have you seen any improvement? Callie and Mike Brown asked in the chat, have you seen any improvement since Paul Cook took charge?
I think the honest answer to that is possibly no. I'm not dissing Paul Cook, obviously. I think did he really realise how bad? I think we've been over this before, but did he really realise how bad the squad was? Possibly not. But the improvement has not been very good at all. But obviously, I'm hanging on to the hope that we can make the playoffs. And like Jordan, and I do apologise, Jordan, the other day. I kept calling you George.
That's all right, I'll be called a lot worse, mate. Trust me.
Well, I certainly. No, you're a good lad, and I totally agree with what you said earlier about. I mean, if those players can't get themselves up for a possible Wembley appearance, and let's be honest about it, most professionals don't get that chance in a career. I totally agree with Jordan. I mean, they should really be playing their arses off, really, to make these playoffs. And also today, again, I mean, they never take their opportunity when it arises. I mean, we've got a good run in, right? Cheltenham are playing Sunderland today, and Pompey lost the game that I expected them to win. Lincoln drew. You know, I mean, we'd have won again today. Oh, we say it every week, I know. We'd have won again today. Would have been well in the hunt. We're still in the hunt. We've got to believe. Well, I still believe. Whether that squad of players do, I'm not really sure, if I'm quite honest. But you know, us fans, you know, like I say, I kept in and out listening to the radio, you know, bobbing in and out with my younger son, and you know, and it means something to us. You know, I was willing a goal in, you know, to go in those last 10 minutes, and you know, I sometimes wonder whether they've got the heart for the fight, you know.
Agree with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, Jordan agrees with you. Go on, Jordan.
100%. None of them have got any bollocks. None of them truly go out there and tell me when they go home for a Chinese tonight and they're sitting around their plush mansions and all this lot that they've really put everything on the line out there. I tell you, you question it. I suppose some of them do. I like to think actually Alan Judge does at the moment. I know people will say I'm talking absolute shit about that, but he's everywhere at the moment, I feel, and he seems like a bit of a different player. His comments are a bit different, obviously, but I 100% agree. You can't tell me that, like, really players have put everything on the line out there today. I refuse to believe it.
Were you surprised to see Alan Judge dropped out of the lineup, Jordan?
I was, yeah, massively. I was. But then,
and so
was he trying to make a statement? Because we were
Possibly,
so bad at Rochdale.
Possibly. Colin, were you surprised to see him dropped out of the
Absolutely. I've got to say I was absolutely shocked that Judge didn't start. I was shocked that Parrott didn't start. Obviously, I don't know what on earth has happened to Jackson. I haven't got a clue. I was under the impression that James Norwood was supposed to have started today. What happened there again today, I don't know. And also, whilst I'm on, and I'm just speaking about what I've kind of half heard. What's he up to today? Why do they have to keep getting involved with all this social media? I really don't get it. I don't get it. You know, I mean, for God's sake, to put that shirt on should be more than enough for that lad. And like some people said earlier, to diss people who've played 700 and I think it's 30 something or whatever it is appearances for the club. I find that quite sad, and I find that quite shocking, to be perfectly honest.
Colin, as always, I do appreciate you, my man. Look after yourself. Stay well.
Take care.
Top man, Colin.
Lee, you're a James Norwood apologetic, so let's have it.
Well, I agree with nearly everything Colin says, but he's not seen the tweet from James Norwood. But he's not been disrespectful to Mills, has he? He's put a bit on there saying that he's disagreed with what they've said about the formation. And then second half, I've written it down here, Mills has turned around and said, and we're still playing off four at the back. So is Norwood wrong? No, he's not. But is he right to go onto Twitter all the time? Probably not. There's too many fans get on his back. If you actually look at his Twitter account, there's more fans on there that have agreed with him than have disagreed with him. It's on there.
But then some fans will hang on a player's every word, regardless of what is said. My criticism, and maybe Jordan can come in on this because he was a bit harder at halftime than any of us was, but not wrong. Is again noise. He's making noise around himself and around the football club when he's not playing again, right?
I just think when you're in a team at a big club, and like people keep saying, you know what I mean, we're a big club in this division, and he brings, any time that someone criticises him, he brings up stats. I've noticed he brings up these stats of this many goals in this many starts and all this lot. And I just think, Lee, sometimes it's better to say nothing than anything at all. Do you know what I mean? And I've got no problem with him having an opinion on the commentary. Do you know what I mean? I've heard fans say that the commentary's boring and it's Brenner overhypes away goals and all this lot. But no problem with that. It's the way he does it for me. I mean, what was necessary to even put that online today? What has he got out of that? Honestly, putting that online, what would he have got out of that other than a bit of stick? And you say people agree with him. I completely understand that, but people hang off his every word, and some of it, it's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. The bloke, fucking hell, he could shit on a centre circle, and people would be like, "Oh, that's fucking brilliant, that is."
Yeah,
The bloke is absolutely cringeworthy. He's unprofessional. There's not an ounce of professionalism in the bloke. He's overweight sometimes. It's quite clear. I mean, it was quite public about his diets and stuff like that, weren't it, under Lambert? I didn't really like him from the start. So, yeah, have I got some sort of like vendetta against him? No, I wouldn't say that. But I just don't think he's an Ipswich Town player. And the sooner we move on from him, the better. That's my opinion. Everyone won't agree with that, and I respect their opinion. But I just think we've had some quality strikers, haven't we? We've gone from Martin Waghorn to James Norwood, who chucks stones through his car window. I mean, fucking hell. Like, I just think sometimes, geez, like, how far have we sunk? Do you know what I mean?
Lee, come back on that.
Where did you start with that? I just think, with regarding him as a striker, it's where the club is, isn't it? It's where the club is. It's not Norwood's fault who he is. It's where the club is, and you can compare it to other strikers. We've had strikers with gambling debts, have we not? Who have been probably been in a worse position than him. I just think it's whether or not you like the guy or not, and and I just judge it on what he does on the football pitch, and he's still a leading goal scorer. There's no about, he's scoring a goal every other game. I mean, what can you say? And the thing that gets me with the fans is, and the way people go at him and stalk him, it's just, I think it's just the social media. And I think if he's going to be on social media, if he lives by the sword, he's got to die by the sword that he wields. So if he's going to put something out there, he's got to respect the shit back. But to be fair to him, I think he just takes it. I think he does take it.
Okay, so let's bring it back round to the fact that, again, we're sitting here 0-0 draw at home in Wembley Dons, and our best striker wasn't fit. Where are you on that? Because now we've got a new change coming in, new investment, new positivity, whatever you want to call it. Where does he fit into this plan, or does he not for you?
If the plan he fits into me, if he starts as our best striker next season,
but he don't start, Lee. That's the problem.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's the point I'm making. So if he starts next season, then during the summer we've failed, haven't we? Because for a club to progress, your best striker has got to be this season in a failure. If you're going to keep one of them, you're going to keep him out of the four, I would think. And then you've got to bring two in that are better than him, because you can't progress as a squad without bringing better players in. So, you've got to bring better players in, and that goes throughout the squad as well, doesn't it? It's not just the strikers. You've got to improve with what you've got, because you can't get rid of everybody. I think we're all a bit sort of, if everybody thinks that it's all going to be rosy of the summer and we're going to spend millions and millions of pounds on players, then I think if it does happen, great. But I'm not sure that that's the way it's going to be early on. I mean, what you'd really want is to get into the championship and then buy players to compete in the championship, rather than take a step back and have to buy players to get you out of League One, because you're fishing in different ponds, aren't you?
Yeah.
So,
isn't the frustration, Lee? Sorry to cut across you. Isn't the frustration from fans when they see Norwood tweeting and making noise, etc., and just being who he is, and he is a character, and whether you like that character or don't like that character, but isn't the frustration really the fact that we're not performing on the football pitch, and the best striker we've got, many fans, 9 out of 10 fans will say he's our best striker, he isn't playing, and that's really where the frustration from the fans comes in. Because again, I'm tweeting you, James, I'm not watching you.
Yeah, if he's scoring 30 goals a season and playing 46 games, no one really gives a shit what he's saying, do they? No one gives a monkeys. No one gives a monkeys.
Exactly.
And it goes back, and I just want to just go back to, like, I don't want to go back in the past, but like Mick McCarthy on the Norwich game. I can't remember if I said it before, but giving him a boost at Norwich, and then he turns around and gives it to the fans. So what? The fans should be able to take that. Boo-hoo to the fans if they're going to give him shit, he should give it back. So when you look at it, if you play in a team, when I've played in teams, someone like Norwood, if he's good, bad, or whatever, you want him. You want him to have your back, didn't you? And I think that's what he's done. It's what he's done today. But he should be more professional about it. But actually, the guy, all the players in that club are going to love him. They're all going to love him. There's no doubt about it. He's on their side, and he's on their wing looking after him. And I think as fans, sometimes we lose sight of that. But he shouldn't tweet it.
Do you not think, Lee? Right? If you say you were James Norwood at the moment, you're sat at home, and you're injured once again, you're crocked once again, you scored a few goals while being at a club that he's moved up a level, which he clearly has from Tranmere. He knew who the commentators were today, and he knew who Mick Mills was. There's no two ways about it. If you're an Ipswich Town player, you know who Mick Mills is. This is what I'm trying to get. What did he think would come out of that? What did he honestly think would come out of tweeting that today? Like, I don't get what he thought. Like, what he was going to achieve out of tweeting it, other than negativity.
I mean, he's trying to be funny again, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's just talking. He's just talking like all of us talk. Like, I tweet about players, and the difference is he's on the platform of, well, look at Crunch, and he's not even a professional player, for fuck's sake. Crunch just says some things, and the fan base of certain parts of the internet go absolutely wild with it. James Norwood is way, way above that. Of course he is, but he could say the sky was blue with some clouds, and some fans would jump all over it and pull it apart, and just disrespectful to non-cloudy days or whatever. The point is, he's not playing again, and that's where I'm sat, and that's where I'm pissed off. Go on, Graeme.
Don't you think one of the most critical signings, if you like, for the summer will be the complete revision by the new owners of the sport, the fitness, the science, and everything? Because you're looking at Norwood. He's had probably more injuries at Ipswich than he's had in probably most of his career, from what I can recall. You go back a few years, you're looking at McGoldrick. I think I've gone over it before, but you're looking at McGoldrick, never played more than 15, 20 games. As soon as he left Ipswich, he was ripping up the Premier League, playing 35, 40 games. Same with Adam Webster as well, another sick note. He ended up going to Bristol City and playing virtually a complete season there. So next season, presumably, Cook's going to offload a hell of a lot, because we had 50-odd professionals. He's going to offload a hell of a lot of them. It's probably going to have a first team squad that you generally pick from of 18 or 20 players, maybe 22. But critical to that is having that backup, that sports science, the physios, everything else that keeps that 18 to 22 man squad fit, so that Cook has got those players there. Because we could get our own, like Ivan Toney or whoever, coming from wherever. He plays, scores 5 goals in the first 5 games, and then gets injured in training at Ipswich yet again, and then we don't see him for the rest of the season. So you've got to look at that backup, which I think's failed for years at Ipswich.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get a few comments, Lee, before you come back on that. Michael Finch, can't any of our players create any space to get shots away? It's not about what level of players you have around you. It's that someone who can do something different that can win you games. David Pascoe, one of mutual contempt between fans and players. Julian Carver, Cook not doing. Yeah, can we talk about this in a second? Probably with Coxey next. But Cook apparently is not doing post-match. Matt Gill is. Now, I remember sitting here a couple of months ago and Lambert shoved somebody else out or didn't do it completely. And there was an absolute just explosion of fans that just did not like that. How much contempt can you show the media? Is that the same feeling tonight? I wonder. I do not know. Facebook cues. 100% agree. There is some decision with fitness and conditioning. We get too many injuries outside the game. Amy Downs, welcome in, Amy. Yes, that's exactly the point. Spot on, Graeme. North would be amazing if he didn't get injured. We'll never know. Sadly, we'll never know. Lee, out of today's lineup, and I will get it on the screen for you, or today's squad, who would you be keeping, if anybody, from today's 11?
Okay, so pre the takeover would have been slightly different, but post takeover, you've got to keep Enciala, you've got to keep Wolforden. You've got to keep Bishop, Downs, and Dazelle. Possibly Dobra. The rest, if it's all about whether or not you can get players in that are better than what you've already got, and Cook will know that. But he's going to have the backing to do that, isn't he? He's going to have some money,
yes,
regardless of what it is. Without going over old ground, Lambert, two and a half transfer windows, 500 grand. You can't be shopping at a little. You can't be shopping at a little.
Quick one, Lee.
You should be shopping at tickets.
How much do you reckon his budget will be in the summer? Like just a rough estimate.
I don't know. I think for League, if you're in League One, I think they're going to try to spend enough to get the right players to get us out of League One. So that could be nothing. I mean, it could be all. I mean, it could all be free. Sorry,
I said £3 million. I did.
I think if you can get, I suppose. See, the trouble is, if you go after a player and they're in contract, they're going to turn around and put another $1 million on the price, aren't they?
Yeah.
And it's whether or not we're going to, it's whether or not we're going to be held to ransom for it. But Cook's got to look in the eye and say, well, look, if you're going to spend 100 million over the next 5 years, I mean, I'm just surmising with the amount, then what's an extra $1 million? Just get who you want. If Cook, regardless of the amount for me, Cook, if we can get Cook's first choices, then Cook should be judged on that. Yeah. And that's what should happen for any manager, because any manager that doesn't have their first choices are getting judged on their third, fourth choices, which I think has happened to a bit to Lambert in some point. Some respects there. But just can I just say one thing on Dazelle before you take me off?
Yep.
His Jordan, no, you don't like him, but between 2015 and 2019, he made 28 appearances. Last season, he made 10. This season, he's made 35. This lad is still growing into his game. Okay, I agree with Cruncher on this one again. I don't know why we keep agreeing from time to time, but he needs to be dropped.
And it is time to time.
He is off. He can still be off future. He can still be off future. He needs to be dropped, maybe. Give him a bit of a rest. But 35 games, nearly as many over the previous 4 or 5 seasons. Give the guy a break. I'm not. Okay. That's not directed at you, Jordan. It's just in general.
No, it's at me. Lee, I love you as always. Look after yourself.
Guys.
Appreciate you. Coxie, Gillies did the post-match. I've got some comments coming up very shortly, but Gillies done the post-match interview. Where are you on that? Because I know Lambert several months back didn't do one. Utter disrespect, utter contempt. It's not the first time, because obviously Friday has cancelled it to get more work in for today. The result is a 0-0 draw without a shot on target. Where are you on that one?
Well, obviously, every time. Sorry, good afternoon, gentlemen, and everybody out there in HDR land. I think when you actually hear this, that somebody hasn't, the first team coach or the coach, whatever, Gillies comes on and does the post-match interview. You always think about Paul Jewell when his coach came on and done his, and then he was apparently watching the video. We all know he's out the door. I don't think that's the case.
No, certainly not.
Or even with with the Lambert situation, those are different situations.
But is he shirking? Is he avoiding discussing really hard topics about a team that isn't performing?
It's still early days with Cookie in charge of us, but we don't. It doesn't strike me as the sort to dodge the questions that are going to be made.
Okay. Talking about dodging the questions, Coxie. Apparently, Matt Gill did dodge a Caden Jackson question, but we did get this. Jackson didn't make the bench today. Please have Nyden back. No one making up numbers as we need to collect points. Try to press more in the second half. Did you see any urgency in that second half? We were pressing and hunting in packs and looking to take the game to Milton Keynes Dons?
Absolutely not. No, I didn't say that at all. No, sorry. In fact, I was a couple of times in the first and second half. I was dozing off a bit. It was that enthralling.
Jordan, I know you were really enthralled in the whole 90, but did you see any pressing in the second half?
More chance of my trouser press being turned on, mate. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I often say this, even with on Match of the Day, when you hear the managers at the end. I don't know what fucking game they were watching sometimes, but it's sad to say we pressed and stuff like that. As for sending Gill out, I think it's people say, well, slaughtered Lambert, but that was a completely different situation. Why he
Yeah,
sent
absolutely.
out Gill to I don't know why. With me, I always think that if the assistants be sent out, it's because Paul Cook's still in the changing room, either giving them a grilling or it's something or other. You know, that's the first thought that comes to my mind. Might be completely wrong. You know, I'd like to think he's in there, sticking a rocket up their ass. I'd like to think that, but whether he is or not, I don't know.
How do you take this team forward, Graeme? If you I seem to ask that every week, because every week we seem to have a disappointing result, and it's not gone the way many fans thought it would. And as I wrote in my article, no, I didn't. That was the first article I binned. There's nowhere to hide now. The pantomime of Lambert is gone, and the spotlight is firmly on the players. There's nowhere to hide. The squad's not good enough. What would you do last 8-9 games?
To be honest, it's a really difficult one at the moment, because I think realistically, you know, they can still make the playoffs, and Cook would get lambasted if he just said, "Oh, sod it, we know we're not good enough." Everyone can see we aren't good enough, but whilst he's still got a chance, and again, the results this afternoon conspired to still keep us. I mean, we'll do the way they sometimes say in the media, we're only 3 points off the playoffs, but realistically, with goal difference, we're 4 points off the playoffs, because we're about 10, 12 goals shy of the team within 3 points. But, you know, at the end of the day, as soon as it is out of reach, I think you've got to do some sort of, surely he's got a list of players that he knows there is no way they're going to be here next year. And then he's got another list of the players that are, maybe if they actually get their backsides into gear, I may be interested in giving them a contract. So once that playoffs out of the way, the playoffs aren't in the question, surely you've got to play those players that you've still got a question mark over and see whether they can actually do it. And then even bring some of the youngsters in. God, I mean, we're in the quarterfinals of the Youth Cup. Once it's mathematically done, I think I'd maybe look at one or two of these players. You know, Tyrese Simpson has come on, and you know, last year he looked a bit raw talent, etc. But surely it can't be any worse than the ones we're playing up front at the moment. So give the guy a go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you completely agree with that. Coxie, Craig Mears says the players are not making Cook look good. One shot on target in 2 games, not good enough. This is not Cook's fault, but it really is not acceptable. No, it's a hangover from the Marcus Evans reign.
Did we have a shot on target?
I don't think we did.
No.
I was wrong last week. Same question to you, Coxie. What would you do last 8-9 games?
Well, as already been said, we are, by some miracle, still only 3 points off the playoffs, and you know that proves how crap this league is. I personally have already said, along if we was going to get in this playoffs, that'll be we shit our way in. But you know we can't score 1 goal. You need to score at least 2 goals to have a chance of playing. Yeah, I mean, why not give some of the youngsters a chance? You know, Nidam's coming for the first time in almost 2 years today.
Okay.
Looked okay, you know, but you know, it's hard to come into a struggling side. But going forward the 8 games, I suppose, yes, you would have to think you're still going for the playoffs and try and get that secret formula right. But you know, if not, well, once it's mathematically gone, then yeah, stick some youngsters in. You know, stick the aforementioned Tyrese Simpson, perhaps give him a chance up front. He's going to be no worse than whatever's going on with Jackson and Mr. Tweet out there.
Norwood will be assessed tomorrow, according to Matt Gill. Lee Anderson says Simpson's never going to make it. Now that might be true, right? But I want to see it with my own eyes before we. Like Ben Falami is quite a frustrating case for me, because I've never seen him play apart from one Palace Cup game where he looked okay. Outside of that, I've seen Aaron Drinnan so many times, my eyes want to bleed. I've seen it. I know it. Let me see Simpson. Let me see these other players to say, yeah, you're right. They're not going to make it. Adios, amigos. Do you know what I mean, George?
Sorry, Gav, just to go back, the Norwood is being tested tomorrow. I take it is for his fitness, not for his professionalism.
I don't know. It just says KVY and Norwood to be assessed tomorrow.
Well, that's obviously fitness. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So
sorry, George, I was going to say something.
I got a lot of time for that comment, mate. I've got a lot of time for that.
I bet you have. I bet you have. I bet you do. Coxie, I love you. I appreciate it. I'm going to bring Callie in. You stay well. Hopefully see you soon on the Talking Town
Hopefully
show.
see you soon. Yeah, come on, give us a tweet. Come on.
Look after yourself. Callie, you always cause issues, don't you?
What did I do?
Talking of which, where is our boy? You're wearing his cap. Where is he? Why are we not seeing players like that? Jack Lancaster.
We need someone like Lancaster in this. We need wingers. We need some wingers, and at the moment, we just ain't got none. We got Bennett, who's I don't know, who's injured or whatever. You got Edwards, Dobra. Dobra played as a second striker today. Mm-hmm. I don't think Jack Lancaster's been that bad this season that he didn't deserve to be in the 18-man squad. I think he's actually had a few sparks about him where he could have made a difference. So certainly over the last sort of 4 or 5 games, you think throw Jack Lancaster on there could have been something. But yeah, it was.
I mean, like Edwards, Callie. The club must have an idea of where contract negotiations are with Edwards and his agent. If they're not going well, sit him, play Lancaster, play Dobra, play young players that are going to maybe be here next season. Like, be proactive, be pragmatic. Apparently, Paul Cook was going to do the post-match conference, but didn't. Don't know what that means. Don't know what's going on there.
Well, it said yesterday, didn't it, that because he cancelled the press conference yesterday because he said he was going to protect the players or whatever about all this takeover stuff. But he said, he's going to address all the takeover stuff and everything in his post-match press conference. I think, like Jordan said there, he's giving him a kick up the backside. I think he's in there.
There's no other
well,
thing
yeah.
to say, is there? Like,
it's not the same as Lambert. Lambert was hiding at every opportunity. Lambert wasn't transparent. Lambert was ducking and dodging at every given opportunity. Cook ain't doing that.
I think Cook's had enough. I think he's had enough of seeing this shit week in, week out. It's making him look bad, isn't it? That's making him
absolutely.
Look bad.
That's his rep. He's come here as a serial winner, right? And all of a sudden he can't even get. He's got 1 win for us, and that's because we played 45 minutes against Plymouth at home. And the rest has been total shit. Again, no shots on target. Again, no creativity. You guys said at the beginning of the show, in fact, we got Drinnan starting up front. Nothing personal against Drinnan, but he ain't good enough to be an Ipswich Town #1 striker or on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, it was
Can I put something to you, Callie, and the rest of the panel, and just let you all individually answer this? Because Renegade Statman or Renaissance, wherever, I can't even say the first name, so Statman. Word. Paul Cook, nice speaking to the press. Do your job. Front up to the questions. Do not shy away. You could literally throw the midfield forwards under the bus today and tell us you've got plans to bring in a proven goal scorer in the summer, and we'd all nod in agreement. Jordan, go first. What do you say back to that? Because that's a fair point, from my opinion. Lambert had 2.5 years of only having £500,000 to spend on a team, hence where we are, before he said, oh, fuck it, I'm not doing press conferences. Paul Cook's been here 10 minutes, had a cup of coffee, and he's already saying, send assistant on the old FM21 button.
Yeah, but see, this is what I'm saying. Like Callie said, it's completely different under Lambert when he was sending assistants out. He was ducking. He was hiding away from press. He was saying how negative they were, how he wouldn't like to be their wife and all this lot. Completely different situation. This is completely different situation. He hasn't had the best start, but it's not as if I can't see. I might be wrong, but I can't see him avoiding press. He's not avoiding the press. I don't believe. I believe it was easier to send Matt Gill today because of. I like to think he's given them a rocket, and actually, if he can get a few videos up to show them how much of a shower of shit they are at the moment, then I mean, you're seeing a lot of stuff that Stuart Watson's tweeting. He's obviously hearing a lot because there's no one in the stadium, do you know? And you're forever hearing Paul Cook shouting at him. And maybe he's just had enough, Martin. Because I tell you, I couldn't stand there and manage that team. I couldn't stand there and manage that team at the moment. Because I'd be getting in there. Like I said earlier, Paul Cook, if he had hair, would be fucking pulling it out, mate. Because that is embarrassing. Some of these performances are. Yeah,
Graeme.
Well, when you've watched and all the hype from earlier in the week, from Wednesday onwards, and you've listened to Brett Johnson, you've listened to Mike O'Leary. I've spoken several times to Brett Johnson, and he's been taking an interest in it from the States for a while now, before the takeovers occurred. And they're not stupid. You know, I mean, I drove my wife wild this week from the fact that every press conference, every single thing, you know, I mean, the hour-long one, I sort of went back bite-sized chunks the following day, watched it all. And you listen to them, and like, I mean, that Mike O'Leary was almost like a present-day cobbled guy. You know, he really got it, got the history of the club, and he was like an Andy Holt Mark II. I remember meeting Andy Holt up in Accrington, and he's the first time I've ever heard an owner of a club say it. They're the custodian of that club for the fans. The fans are the real owners. They'll be there once they're dead and gone or left or whatever. And you look at Mike O'Leary and Brett Johnson this week, and from all accounts, Berkey Bakai, who I've not really heard anything from so far, but a few encouraging Twitters and that. But they ain't stupid, are they? They ain't going to be investing all this money. And the only way the pension fund is going to ever make money back is by gambling and putting money in to get the money back, by getting us into the Premier League. That's when the investment returns for the pension fund are going to come, not just by maybe making the playoffs next year in Division 1, staying in Division 1. They've got to invest. This year they've got that opportunity because there's 26, 28 players, probably 20 of them being first team players that are out of contract. So it ain't going to cost them a penny to get shot of them. They've had their opportunity to prove they should be kept, and they haven't taken it. So, you know, hopefully Paul Cook's going to get that backing, well, not necessarily in transfer fees, but they could still have that power if they're still in Division 1, for instance, where they can have the money to back on signing on fees, to back on the wages as well, and be at the forefront of Division 1 next year to bring the players in that they need to actually smash it. And I don't think the owners now are going to take, they're going to be on Paul Cook supporting him, but they're going to be on his back watching for those results. And I think, I'm still excited. I've almost written this season off already because, under no illusion. At one stage, I thought the players we could get more out of the players, and Lambert wasn't doing it. But the more and more you look at them, they're just not up to it. They've just continued that losing mentality from Hurst was here in the relegation season from the Championship. And they're satisfied with the draw at Rochdale, or they're just getting an easy wage, in my view.
Yeah, what do you feel on Callie on as a round up then on Statman's tweet there?
I get where he's coming from, but it's not the same thing. And I think, like we said, I think the reasons are different. So the reason that Gill went out under Lambert is because Lambert would do anything to avoid the question. The reason that Cook's sent out Gill now is because Cook's, bollocking him, or he's just, like Jordan said, he's probably just given up and he's probably just absolutely pissed off. And also, I think there's an he's a smart manager, and he does seem to be that kind of manager that publicly, behind private doors, behind closed doors, he'll say whatever to the players, but publicly he seems to be backing the team. And he said that before about, protecting his players. And there's got to be there somewhere, like Jordan said, if he's, that pissed off. And we all say things in heat at the moment. So he'd be like, shit, you might throw someone under the bus unintentionally. And that's I think he's trying to keep the squad united because maybe he still believes that we can kick onto the playoffs. Me, the whole thing about the squad and everything, this squad can win by getting hoofball, and that's it. This passing around and expecting all the niceties don't work for us. We've had hoofball in our DNA since Mick McCarthy, right? It's going to take a lot to get that out of it. So we want to start playing football on the ground and everything. It's going to take more than just one summer of transfers or whatever. Yeah. So for me, it was like when Cook come here, it was okay. We could kick on. We can make Wembley. We can do it, but it's got to be hoofball. It's got to be that hoofball tactics. That's what got us the Hull wins. That's what got us the Doncaster win and all the other kind of games as well where we've won. Now, the problem is now we're not even taking shots. We're not even, testing other teams.
Yeah, stay right there, Callie, because I've got somebody who wants to challenge you. I know, that's rare, right? That's rare.
Okay. Last time I had a challenger as well.
That's rare that you ever get anyone say, Callie, talking rubbish? Never. But here we are.
Who's this?
Case.
No.
Tell him to fuck off.
Before I remove Callie for wonderful contributions of known to podcasting, what would you like to say to him?
Nah, I think we need to stop giving this whole like it was different under Lambert because he was avoiding the media bollocks. We talk about how he might be in there now, giving him the proverbial rocket up the arse. But how many rockets up the arse do they need? Like without being funny, he didn't do the pre-match yesterday because apparently he was focusing on working with his players. And what's he doing now?
Do you genuinely think he's avoiding? Because how many rockets? It takes a fair few rockets to get to the moon, bro. Do you know what I mean? So, the first rocket ain't always going to do it, right? So, I honestly don't think he's hiding. He's a scouser, man. He ain't going to fucking hide from that shit.
Okay, is he not? Is he just fucked off of it already? And isn't that a worry though that something's not right? We're only 10? How many games are we into the rain now? Not even double digits, are we? Or if we are, it's just isn't that a worry, Kat, that the manager's already sort of saying, "Oh well."
Well, one of your main roles is to come out to the fans and explain. Although we all know exactly what we've just seen, we all know that what we've watched is just a pile of shit. But one of your jobs as a manager is to come out and unfortunately break it down for us. Give us your knowledge of what you saw, and therefore you expand on that. Your job isn't to pass it on to Matt Gill. And the whole point of it yesterday was the fact that he'd come out and talk to us about this takeover, and yet what have we got? We've got nothing from the manager since the takeover. Now we've got absolutely nothing. Why that is? I saw they said that Matt Gill says the takeover come as a surprise. There's absolutely no chance did that takeover come as a surprise to the manager and them lot. If all of us knew something about it, they definitely knew something about it.
It came as no surprise to this podcast. And the fact that it comes as a surprise to you.
Yeah.
We were live at 5 seconds past 11. Like, come on. I'm not having that.
It's sort of bollocks. It's one of them. I do think Cook is the man to take us forward, but this whole free ride bollocks of, I'm not being funny. Just come out to the media. Just tell us exactly what you're on about. Because the fact is, you're the manager and you are the one who's going to run this club going forward. You're the one who has got to be the forefront of the players. None of this bollocks about how it's completely different to Lambert. We lambasted Lambert for it because we all knew he was avoiding him then. And if the journalists are going to but if the journalists are going to ask the questions, they're there and paid to ask those questions. They might get mind-numbingly boring because they unfortunately they have to ask the same thing every week. What do you think? What do you think went wrong? We've got a shit squad, and unfortunately, you as the manager, you have to front it and say, yeah, it's unfortunately the same thing week in, week out. It's one of your jobs. You've got to be the face of the club. Like, don't
I get that. Look, I get where you're coming from, but listen, this is the first time he's ducked an interview, like a pre-match, post-match. Forget the pre-match presser yesterday.
Doesn't bode well for the future, does it?
Yeah, but one. Listen, we can all make one little. Okay, he might do that. If he ducks, is it Tuesday? We've got Wimbledon. Is it Tuesday or is it Saturday? I can't remember.
Tuesday.
So if he ducks Tuesday, then you know what? Then you've got. Then I can start seeing where you're coming from. But ducking one, it's just like, come on, man. Everyone can make one mistake, or everyone's almost entitled
What's he hiding
to
from?
that.
What would he be hiding from 9 games into a rain? He said what the squad is. We're just not doing it. He's had to change his style. The takeover's come in. Is it because I don't know? Is it because he doesn't know enough about the takeover yet? I don't know.
So I'll flip that though. Why is he? How many rockets does this team need?
Yeah, no, but has he get? We're 9 games in, Curtis. I can't imagine he'd have been in there. Say 4 times out of 9, giving them a rocket.
No,
players.
No, to be fair, I agree with you there. But the fact is, what's he telling them after this game, which is stopping him from coming out, compared to what he's told them over the last 9 games?
No, I agree, mate. Yeah,
it just seems so odd that you wouldn't come out because we all know that this team ain't good enough. I've said it weeks and weeks. We ain't going.
Maybe this, like I said, maybe there's protection there. He's human. He might say something that slip up. He's been
maybe
very open.
Maybe should have got Norbert to do the conference for him.
Yeah, well, it's a fair point. All right, look, we're not going to solve it with you two. Callie, I love you. I appreciate you as always, my brother. Look after yourself. Tom, can you bring some clarity to the situation as you bring a close to the show? Because Jordan's got his dinner in 5 minutes, I hear.
Yeah, I think, well, if Norwood did it, it would be on Instagram, wouldn't it? So we probably wouldn't have seen it. But yeah,
IGTV.
So yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's odd that Cook's kind of ducking this. I think it's the first time Lambert did it. probably all of us went, what the hell are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? We expect you to speak to us. But previously, Cook has said, yeah, I don't need to speak to you anymore. We all know what the problem is. And it's kind of clear as day that it's going to be next season. And I think after today, it is a next season job now. We're not fighting. We're not fit for this season. And there's just absolutely nothing there. It's gutless. I think I messaged you, Martin, as well. Like, I watched this with my MK mate, and we both said the same. We predicted it from the start, a 0-0 draw. It was a 0-0 draw. We both knew what was coming. Absolutely nothing. And yeah, spineless. Absolutely spineless.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was worried how you might be when you came on because you said you were having a few beers, and I was like, having beers, Jordan, and watching Town don't go well together, do they? That doesn't
Drowning sorrows, mate. That's what it is. It's definitely drowning sorrows.
Luckily, we ain't got to drink every time we see a goal, Kurt. Otherwise, we'd be stone cold sober for the whole year.
I mean, I've said it week in, week out. We can all moan about who gets put up front every week, but I'm not being funny. Whether it's Parrott, Hawkins, like Drinnan, Jackson. I mean, we're hardly blessed with goals. It really don't matter who we put up front. They're all piss poor. So it really don't matter what name we have up front, because it's just a facade anyway. Like so yeah, it's one of them. We all know these players aren't good enough to be at this club, and this is the first summer that we'll have somewhat of a real change, not just a change of manager. We'll have a real change, but it's one of them. We just got to look forward to it, haven't we? Because this is just piss poor.
Curtis, as always, appreciate you calling in. Cheers, buddy. Look after yourself. And cheers for Thursday as well. Tom, as he just said there, real change. Finally, not just word, not just season ticket paper that says we'll change. It's real change. I don't know why I'm doing all this today. I don't know, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it anyway. He's right though, isn't he? And has it ruined your mood a little bit, or are you still really clinging on to the optimism?
I'm no longer optimistic about this season, which I think is okay now because we've got a long-term vision and it's going to come. I think the middle of this week, we were all absolutely ecstatic, and rightly so. We've got a change that we wanted. It's going to come. We're going to get rid of all of these shower shite players, and we're going to get them out of the way. I just think these performances at the end of the season are just going to show what we're not going to miss. And I think we probably need to accept that this is what we've had the past 2 years. Just drink it in, spit it out, and we'll get a new team next season. It's going to get better. It can't not get better, in my opinion.
The thing is, sometimes too much change too quickly can be detrimental. So you've got to get that balance right.
Yeah,
what should shopping list look like?
We saw it under Hurst where he changed too much too soon. And I would hope that with a new ownership structure in place and a new director of football or CEO, whatever the hell the title is, that we will have a bit more clarity rather than Marcus Evans and Lee O'Neill directing all of this. We've not got that anymore. We've got football people in the club and we've got people with experience. We should recruit the right players.
Sure.
Like today, we saw the MK DONS. What was he, number 10? He was great. We've got seen Rathbone last week. 2 midfielders who would instantly improve us. Like we can shop in these divisions. We've got the budget and we can do well by it. It's just we need to hope that these people who have come in can actually do it. It's got to be better than what we've had. It can't not be.
You called the ingredients earlier in the chat. What was it? What you said they were riddled with?
Cook's ingredients. They're riddled with salmonella.
So what's your top priority then? What's your first couple of ingredients in the summer?
A front three. A front three who can create. We're defensively sound in this division, and we've shown that. We've got, like, the midfield probably could do okay with a bit of coaching and a bit of shithousery where Downs is playing. Downs probably isn't going to stay or last the season. We just need a front three who can create a la Peterborough. We need that. We need that foresight. We need that recruitment statistics that they've got. We need to see a Clark Harris coming from a mile off rather than an Ollie Hawkins from someone else's bench. We just need that.
Okay, I love it. Colin says, Tom, are you Shefki?
I've not flown around about in a while. I've not belly flopped in my time, but I could be.
Don't worry, I won't ask you to. But Tom, as always, I appreciate my brother. Look after yourself. Thanks for coming on. Jordan, what would your priority be in the summer? What would your ingredients be?
Can you pick a whole new team? Can you do that?
if you feel like that's not going to be a huge, change of culture too soon or whatever,
hog, mate. I literally, if he's got the budget, just go the whole fucking hog, because there's no point in sticking with what you got, is there? I think I know Tom said we're defensively sound, which we are, but I just think it's time for change. And if you've ever got chance of time for change, this is it. And I don't think you're going to get a better chance for it.
Yeah, spot on. I think there was a tweet midweek from our main man, the scout Luke Penning, and he had a list of players that are already on the contract. And that was a fairly solid base to work from. Nothing special, but if they're going to come into the side when injury suspensions are there, you had something to work with. I do think. Graeme, what would your list look like?
I'm completely with Jordan. I mean, I think you're probably looking at Downs, Enciala, probably, and Wolfenden, probably the three that you would look at keeping. I think the most critical thing is we need to stop doing the Marcus Evans bargain basement hunting right at the end of the transfer window. It's almost been like he's been trying to save on a couple of months' wages sometimes, and you get into end of July, start of August. We've had all our pre-season games, and then he starts picking up the rubbish, the leftovers. Like you see your KFC box with like a couple of bits in the bottom left at the end down some country lane. That seems to be what we pick up on the players. So we need, we need Cook to have his talk with Mike O'Leary, with whoever the investors, come up with a list of his first choice players and come, as soon, some of them presumably could even get on pre-contract now. He should be talking to players, identifying players. And so what? If it means they're paying them for 2 months before they're fully up and training and whatever, do it so that we hit the ground running. And then if we get virtually a completely new team, if they've been playing for like the 2-3 months pre-season beforehand, training together every day, going off on the pre-season games, then, it might take a month or two when you hit the competitive games. But, as Jordan said, you ain't going to do any worse than, the biggest problem I think with the squad we've got at the moment, there's that losing mentality there, or that acceptance of, we're in the worst position we've been in for 60 plus years, and players are like turning up in their Range Rovers or whatever, thinking they're a lot better than they really are. Oh, yeah. They're in Division 3 and they're in the worst Ipswich team for 60 plus years.
Absolutely spot on. City Aston, Poundland Evans. Yep. Well, speaking of pound, you can't do that on Ko-Fi. What a segue that was. Look at that. Links in the chat. Thank you so much. Spring Bean, Evans sold season tickets, then shipped out the best players. And Lee Anderson, key is to get them in early. Spot on. Carry the conversation on Twitter. #WeAreTown. Join us again tomorrow. Back to our 1:30 Sunday time for the Talking Town podcast. The Cruncher will be here. Matt Phillips will be here. Kate Riley will be here, along with myself, to pull apart today's 0-0 draw, discuss the takeover, and hopefully, as we have done today, get more of your fan opinion on the chat and on the show as well. Jordan, thank you ever so much. I'm terribly sorry it wasn't 3 points. Same to you, Graeme. Thank you. Prodigy result. For those that didn't or would like to know, Manila Times won the Grand National. Won me some money, that did. Happy days. Did anyone have a little bit on the Grand National today, Jordan, Graeme?
No, I didn't, mate. No.
Family sweepstake. I'm sure I've lost.
Standard. Don't worry. You're a Town fan. You're always a winner when you're a Town fan. See you tomorrow at 1:30.